You're listening to the Energy is Love podcast.
Well, I tell you, Ben, we're like a well-oiled machine.
Are we?
Almost. Some days.
Some days. What tea is Craig going to choose? Are you going to choose
Do I get a
the
choice?
red tea or the blue tea? You get to try them both, actually. It's okay.
Okay. Can we wait till they cool off a minute?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you wanted your tea cold.
Well, I'm fragile. Let me see. What's this one?
That is the Glow. That's a sweet one.
That's not sweet.
That is too sweet.
If your idea of sweet is...
It's not sugar. There's not sugar in it.
Well, why didn't you put sugar in my tea?
Did you really want sugar in it? You didn't
Pour
want
some sugar on it, baby.
In the name of love. That is too sweet.
Okay.
No?
I'll stick with the chai.
Okay.
Here we go. Should we read our tags?
I don't have tags.
This one has a tag. It doesn't. It just
this
says...
is loose leaf. The one that you didn't like was
Ooh,
loose
sorry,
leaf.
Didn't realize you're such a tea snob.
This one was originally for you.
Excuse me. This is loose leaf
You
tea.
wanted. I just mean it doesn't have one of the little inspirational, motivational messages.
Natural water. Spring water, please, without ice.
Oh my goodness.
That's what we drink around here.
Oh my goodness.
You're kind of a tea. You're not a tea snob. You're a tea
You
connoisseur.
were going to call me a snob. Am I a tea snob?
No,
I don't think so.
You're not. I clarified.
Yeah.
You're a tea connoisseur.
I am
for sure.
a tea connoisseur. I really like tea.
You're definitely
I like all forms of tea.
a witchy tea lady.
Tea is my jam.
Can I ask you a question about witch stuff?
Doesn't mean I'll have the answer.
Well, we kind of joke about it on the podcast and whatnot, but...
I'm feeling panicked. I'm an anxious witch.
Oh, she's an anxious witch. Because witches obviously are a thing in culture and in society and everything like that, right? And in your mind, because like I said, we joke about it on the podcast.
Okay.
This is episode 296, sweetheart.
Okay. We are.
That's 4 away.
Yeah.
From the big 300.
And you're going to ask an important question like this. Let's see. This is make or break for you, Craig. What's going to happen?
Let's move on, folks.
No, I want another question.
In your mind,
I'm actually nervous.
And because people that are listening, maybe
I reserve the right to not answer.
Right. We definitely have people that listen that aren't going to misunderstand. But what is your definition of a witch?
Oh. Anyone.
What do you mean anyone?
I mean anyone. I mean, do you do you have like love in your heart? Do you have like even like do you have magic? Do you want to help? Are you a healer? Are you compassionate? Are you like herbal? Do you like sense like do you feel the energy around like so many different I don't feel
this isn't putting you in a box.
No, it is actually. I'm sorry. Like I don't know. Like there's not. I think I don't have a definition because I think everybody is their own form, and what you relate to and connect with is different from the next person. So just being aware of yourself, and if you relate to being a witch, if you relate to like that, then yes, like you don't have to there's not a definition. There's so many forms and fashions and ways, and like nobody knows them all. There's just, so I don't have, it's like, do you feel that? Do you feel that inside of you? It doesn't matter. You don't have to check any boxes. Do you feel like, do you feel your soul breathe? Do you feel connections? Do you feel like, I don't even know. Like I don't have a vocabulary for it. You can go and just follow all the Instagrams and look at all the different definitions, but I think it's a frame of heart. So, a
frame of heart. That's beautiful.
Probably that was my answer, anyways.
Well, it's like it's such a misunderstood term.
I'm over here nervous. I'm like,
It's just a misunderstood term, I think, right?
Yeah, well, it depends.
It's not the Glenda the Good Witch or the Wizard of Oz. Do you know what I mean? It's not, what's the Elphaba? Is that the
I
bad
never
witch?
watched Wicked.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know like that one, but I never watched it, so I can't give you. It's everything. It's all encompassing. I think the answer to that is yes, it is.
But there's also like Wiccans in the. I mean, is that
Yeah,
actually like a religion, or do you know?
Yeah, I don't resonate so much with Wiccan, and that's just because it.
Do you think that would be considered a religion?
I view, yes, I do. Like, I'm willing to be wrong. I do view it that way. It's like a religion in a sense of it, the way that it's like formatted and the rules and just it that to me it triggers I don't know, like this is just for me. I have nothing against
No
like
judgment.
that. Like that was my first poll, is where I was like, that's where like I was led to, and then it was just like this just isn't my vibe. This just isn't where I am. But it felt religion based to me, and it's not, I don't know how to describe it.
Is it pretty dogmatic from your experience, at least?
Just from my experience, it didn't feel like my match. It didn't feel like I see beauty in it. And there's so much, I don't have any ill will. I don't have any like problems. I think it's beautiful, but it just felt for me like, yeah, it was just like that confinement. It just felt like confinement. And that's me. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, just like you get to have your opinions on wherever you're at against things. If it doesn't feel right for you, it's not saying that it's wrong. It's not wrong. I think it's beautiful. It's just it didn't work for me.
Yeah.
It just didn't match up with where I was. I felt like the spirits that were coming to me, my connection was outside of Wiccan, and it was coming just from outside. So my parameters were just in a different area, and who was speaking to me was not in that realm. And so I realized that I was more over here.
Which would be what?
You're asking, this is not what you said we were going to talk
I'm
about.
so sorry. I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
You are.
It just popped in my head because
Okay.
like we have this banter back and forth in our daily life where I kind of joke about it. And I mean, you're very connected to nature. You're very much, and we joke about this tea thing initially, right? But it's because you are, you're like an herbalist, you're an alchemist, you're a mixer and a matcher of herbs and teas and oils, and obviously the crystals and the rocks and the stones and all of this stuff that stems and flows through nature and is connected to nature. You're very much integrated into it.
Thank you.
And so that's what I mean when I joke about kind of your witchiness. And I think it's beautiful. That's my kind of interpretation of it, right? I think it's kind of I guess it's just your way of connecting with energy and connecting with Mother Nature. And it's just a silly label, but at the same time, it's not, right?
I think it's kind of a cool label.
Yeah, I think it's got some significance to
take
it.
a little bit of pride in it.
Do you think that the witches of old, the Salem witch trials and everything, what do you think that was? Do you think that was just the patriarchy in full swing and just using opportunities to sacrifice?
Patriarch, confinement, control, Christianity, so much.
Yeah.
It was just absolute chaos, control, destruction. I have a lot of opinions on that, but this isn't that episode.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe we'll do that down the road.
Well, maybe. Yeah.
Are you hesitant to speak of it? You don't want to offend people or anything?
No. I guess I just feel like this isn't the space right now.
Okay.
So.
Totally understandable.
Okay.
Yeah, not a big deal. Do you want to say anything else on it? Or are we just moving on?
I wanna. You surprised me. I was ready for like One Direction. Not One Direction. It's not like a band.
Surprise
That's a boy
guest.
band. Can you name a song? I know. Like if I heard it, I'm
no
like,
idea
oh,
who's
okay,
in
that's
that
a One
band.
Direction song. But no.
We
Anyways,
have surprise
yeah.
guests on the podcast today. It's One Direction.
Can I ask you something?
Unless it's an easy
About what?
question.
What is your like curiosities and why?
Why did I ask the question?
No, I just like wonder, why is it not a question that you have with me regularly? Why is it a like a right here question? Like, what are your curiosities? What's your draw? What's your like? What's your pull?
To the which question?
Yeah.
Truthfully, it was I didn't want to, because we've talked loosely about it,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt like I had an understanding of kind of your opinion and kind of how you viewed it,
Okay.
but we've never really directly spoken on it.
Yeah. How come?
How come we've never spoken on it?
Yeah. Like.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But the impetus for me tonight was I didn't want to joke about something. I didn't want to refer to it if it was something that I was doing that was continually kind of hurting your feelings. And so I wanted to make sure that it was something that,
My feelings are not hurt.
yeah, that I wasn't just, I wanted you to know that I wasn't joking about it. And it
Okay.
wasn't something that I was kind of like teasing you in a way over the course
Okay.
of our relationship. But it's also kind of like, just the clarification of communication, right? The definition. So maybe I'm thinking it's something and you're thinking it's something, and those two things aren't the same.
Okay.
And I never want to, especially something that I think is so important to you, it's important to me. And so I wanted to make sure that I was on the same page that you were on, so that it wasn't something that I was accidentally, even unbeknownst to myself, hurting your feelings with.
That's really cool.
So
Thank
that's why
you.
me, ask your
Maybe-
hard questions during the podcast.
Right? Maybe is that safer for you, because then it's like the fallback of the podcast, so like I'll save hard questions here.
I don't think so, unless there's some weird subconscious thing to it.
Yeah.
I think I used to do that,
Yeah.
but it was just random.
Yeah. It's would you be interested in talking about it later?
Yes, very
Yeah.
much so.
Okay.
I would love to.
I think as you're saying that, I'm just like realizing I do have like honestly, I do have fear about talking about it. And when you talk to me about it, I do get a little nervous that you're just kind of like a yeah, whatever mentality with it, that it's not really like to a point, like sometimes you're taking it seriously, or I don't know what the energy is, but then here, like I am like I have like nerves. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I feel like I'm putting you on the spot.
Well, it's not just that you feel like you're putting me on the spot. Like there's no it's like talking about it to where everyone can see you. And it like I don't want to have any hesitations and nerves, and like suddenly it feels like I can't breathe. I'm just like, getting hot and just like, but I do. So that kind of comes up, and that's why I'm like, well, let's have a private conversation. Let's have a private conversation. It's also not something that I've been comfortable being out loud. Like for many, many, many years, it was like a hideaway, and like not even touching or looking at for a while, and being like, here's this thing. And then it wasn't until, gosh, I don't even remember when. Like even when I would, when I was embracing and I feel like hot. I feel like I'm being like, it feels like eyes are on me in a
Yeah.
really uncomfortable way. I'm like, oh,
Can I
it's
ask
like
you?
making me sweat. Like I am burning right now.
Can I ask you?
I'm starting to
like,
get panic, so maybe we can't talk about it.
Well, I think that's interesting that you're having that reaction.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that is epigenetic,
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
right?
I don't really want to go into it right
Okay.
now. I'm like, fuck.
We don't have to.
Maybe.
It's something that you and I can definitely
It's
talk
definitely
outside of
something
the podcast
that,
about.
yeah, not on the podcast. Maybe after we hash some things out, then it can be in like, here's this experience, and now this is how I can. But there's ways I can help guide, and there's things that I still need help. I need to be guided through,
Yeah.
but I'm not there. So it's, yeah, I can help, and I need help. And right now we have definitely touched on something that I need help with. So moving on.
What's funny is, because I mean, the easy way to kind of, I think, clarify what it is, it's just your way of connecting, like I said, to energy and to nature, right? And so much of this podcast is spiritually based over the course of the past 6 years. But obviously, me personally, I went through a big transition, not even a transition, but I went through a big period of my life where I wasn't connected, or I didn't feel like I was. And this was after the podcast began. The podcast began with all sorts of spiritual stuff, and then we kind of went away from it for quite a while, for several years. And that was in conjunction with my own journey and my own path.
Yeah.
And now as we've come back to it, right, I feel like we've really come back in the last 6 months, maybe last year. It's hard for me. There's a lot of things that we're experiencing again, and in deeper ways that are spiritually connected, and they're amazing, and they're beautiful. And some of them I'm nervous to talk about on our podcast.
Yeah.
Because it's like, once again, the judgment of some of the stuff that happens in the realm of energy and the universe and deeper spiritual things and spiritual practices and meditations and lucid dreaming and out-of-body experiences and even just connection alone, right? You and I have such a deep connection. It's hard to explain. It's hard to verbalize. It's hard to put words to sometimes that make sense. So then I hear and it's in my own head, even though I project it outward thinking that it's society's view, but I hear all of the judgments and all of the criticisms of it and all of the doubts and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And so maybe, I think we're probably going to continue to expand and grow, obviously, and bring a lot more to it, or bring a lot more of it to the podcast.
I think so. And I think it's like, if I really slow down now that I'm out of the panic zone, which I was absolutely in a minute ago.
I way to the panic zone.
Like it throws with the like being the energy work that I do. There's still a lot of it that was like I don't advertise, and you keep like it's just like here's a lot of mine was word of mouth. My client base were word of mouth. I wasn't throwing like.
Yeah, you weren't marketing yourself as
not.
An energy worker or Reiki master or anything sort of
like,
energy
practitioner. You knew I was a massage therapist, so I was somatic based. But like and even like with clients that like there was just being visible on that, and there is oh my gosh, I'm getting my throat is really closing off on this one. Is you're talking about the epigenetics of it, and it is that, but it's oh my gosh, I can't talk. It is like everything's trying to stop. It's like making a joke, how they say if you're not doing things that would have gotten you killed or stoned back in the day, are you even living? And so much of it is that, like literally what we are doing was something that would have got us killed. Like even just saying like, it's like, witch, you're a witch. Yeah. It's like, obviously times are different, but those wounds are still there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really difficult. So you're experiencing the same.
Yeah.
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 It's the same thing.
Yeah. It's that outward, I'm sure that there's a big chunk of it that's religion, right? Religion has done many.
Religion killed them.
Yeah.
Tried to kill everybody off.
Right. Yeah. That's a big issue. It still is today. I think a lot of the issues that like the trans community and still the LGBTQ and everything like that is, that is still at large in the sense that those issues are still coming up and all those different things. I mean, Florida's
taking away basic health care,
all of those
not letting
things.
kids participate.
I really think that if we were to sum up all of those things down to the base level of where they're stemming from, it's religion.
Yeah.
I think religion is still a driving factor behind a lot of that division and a lot of that. What is the word? What is it, babe? Help me.
I don't know what word you're going from.
Because it's racism, but it's not racism because it's not about their race. It's
prejudice.
Yeah. All of those prejudices and, and it's so sad. It's
terrible.
Just so sad.
It's
terrible. The fear based out of it. I have a meme that I keep debating on whether or not I'm going to create. If you follow us on Instagram, every now and then we'll post stuff. It's just one-off kind of memes and whatever. We just post content on Instagram, and I've got one that I'm sitting on, and I can't quite convince myself to do it.
Is it the one I saw today?
No.
That you were working on?
No, that one I'm a little nervous about, but this one is, let me read it to you. We're going to get to the topic of tonight's episode at some point. So it is the difference between spirituality and religion is love. And the idea is that spirituality is a broad term, right? And religion is a broad term. It encompasses so many different things. And the way that I see it is spirituality stems from love. And granted, it can be tainted and kind of flipped and convoluted like anything else, and like religion has been over the last several thousand years. But I don't see a lot of love in the core and in the base of religion any longer.
Yeah.
I think there's loving people, of course, and I think at the end of the day, it stemmed from love as well. But too much time has passed, and it's been flipped and construed and tainted over the course of history that there's not a lot of love left in it. Instead, there's a lot of judgment and a lot of shame and a lot of criticism and a lot of control. And manipulation.
It's like the abusive parents that are just like, that's not love. That's
shaming you and criticizing you and beating you while they're telling you that they love you.
This is for you. I just want to save you. It's my opinions on that.
Yeah. And that's sad, right?
It's
that's our
sad.
view, and I'm hesitant to post it because I don't ever want to, I'm not interested in hurting people's feelings.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like if we all didn't say what we thought, then there's a lot of people out there that aren't going to hear what they need to hear.
Yeah.
There's people out there that are kind of stuck in religious communities and religious families and situations.
Can feel something's off and not know, like, this is trauma. Like, there's religious trauma.
Yeah.
And it's like shining a light to say, you have a choice. You have a choice. Like, I don't know, just giving love to them to see like, oh, this feeling is there. There's something else to see. There's another option than what is filling the conformity, the abuse, the abuse. There's no other way to put it. And if that's where you want to be, then okay. That's your choice. Hopefully you are acting in love and not carrying on the trauma.
See, it's so hard too, because this is our definition, right?
Right.
And I'm sure a lot of people think they're acting in love.
They do. Well, that's how they're told too. It's like getting beat, this hurts me more than it hurts you. I'm doing this because I love you.
Right.
This is for you.
Yeah.
This is for you.
It's really sad. And it's,
It doesn't have to
We
be.
can't have synchronized tea drinking.
Why not? Well, my tea's almost gone.
Oh, sorry, tea connoisseur.
It's yummy. This is really good tea.
I wish that there was a way, because spirituality too isn't perfect, right?
Oh, no, there's abuse in that.
Yeah.
There is absolutely narcissistic, twisting, manipulating, that control. It is still there as well.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, spiritual people aren't. But, there is so much
There's so much.
gaslighting and crap that is
You know,
there.
the societal programming that we have all, like, I don't care where you live, unless you're like the one nomadic tribe that hasn't yet been contacted by man, right? There might still be that small civilization somewhere, but I mean, there's definitely civilizations like in the Amazon and some other places that have very, 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 very little contact with the actual outside world.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're born into the society at large that everybody else is born into, you have this programming in regards to a bunch of different things that are really skewed. This is just one of them.
Yeah.
And there's, like you were talking earlier today about that podcast that you were trying to listen to, the astrological podcast that was a big deal in the astrology world and kind of a big podcast, and everything was so doom and gloom.
Yeah.
And it was like the realization of it's the same tactic that's employed by mass media in order to keep you following and watching and engaged, because you think that, the end of the world is coming, and you have to figure, you got to find out when, you got to find out how, you got to prepare yourself for the end, and all these kind of different things.
Yeah, and that's not saying that the flip side is healthy,
Mm-hmm.
that you're just your head in the sand and it's all, I know that's not healthy either, but there is that balance. There is that.
I thought about that with our podcast.
Did you? We're not all.
I know, because
I'm like, we're not sunshines and roses. Oh, do you think we're too gloomy?
I don't think we're too gloomy, but my fear was that we're too, it's the energy is love, right?
The energy is love.
Our focus is.
But shadow work is love.
I know. That's what I'm hoping, is that we have that healthy balance of. You okay over there, tea lady?
I got it.
That we do have a healthy balance, into the realization that, yes, there is so much love and beauty in the world, and it's important to see it, and it's important to feel it, and it's important to connect to it, and it's important to see it in other things and in other people. And there's darkness, and there's balance to the love, and there's balance to it all. And I think it's all love. I think even in the darkness and the hate and the pain and the suffering, I think that is all love still. But that's my belief, right?
Yeah.
And I hope that we bring a good balance to the podcast, and that it's a realistic view of just what life really is. I mean, I think you and I do a really good job of showing, our love in a balanced way, because it's messy.
It's messy and it's beautiful.
Yeah. And it's hard.
Hard.
And we have gone through some incredibly challenging, hurtful, traumatic things during our relationship, kind of out of the name of love, but we were definitely loving each other in the ways that we were taught.
We've changed, like, throughout this, like, our podcasting journey and our lives so much. Like, the podcast has changed. So I think instead of like I think what we do is we just keep showing up authentically, growing, keep searching, keep healing, and keep our striving to know better, do better. And then once we see something that needs to shift, we have awareness, and we're healing. We vocalize that and keep going with it. We don't stay in this is the way we're doing it. This is here. We're doubling down. It's
we did for the beginning of our
out
relationship.
We were wrong. Yeah, we did. I'm talking about the podcast. So we're talking about relation.
I guess I saw you were talking about the podcast.
I was like, because you were the comment you were saying is you hope that you're it's balance.
Yeah.
And then that's how we're showing up with that.
We've been doing video podcasting for almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
And I think about how different our show is today than it was when we started just the video portion of it. Because we used to sit out in the backyard and get drunk. And, we used to drink a lot during the episodes. And It's not to say we didn't have good episodes and good content, and
That was like back in the day. That was me learning how to speak. It's like, I need a little help to be able to talk.
part of the reason why we liked recording outside is because we could also smoke.
That's right. We were smokers.
We were sit there.
Do you remember this? Did we? Oh my gosh.
Did we what? Smoke on the podcast?
No, I'm trying to remember. I don't think we were smoking when we went to video.
Maybe not.
I don't think so. I think we were
Oh,
smoking
yeah, you're
when
right.
we
We
were
weren't.
before video.
Yeah, that's
Because
right.
I'm like, that would have been, you just watched us smoke the whole time.
That's true. When we
Yeah.
didn't, I mean, we used to record just the audio outside when we just did audio podcasts, and we would puff away all episode long. I mean, you could go back and listen and definitely hear drags it away from the microphone.
Yeah.
And so not only have we changed in those regards,
We've
but
become so much more healthy for ourselves.
when do you think in our relationship we shifted and started to really like know better, do better? Because I know that when we first got together, I was very still stuck in patterns and routines and thinking that we needed to do everything the way that I thought we needed to do everything.
Or your way? You need to do everything your way? Is that a fancy way of saying we
Yeah.
need to do everything your way?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I understood.
Yeah.
Is that what was
I have a
happening?
lot of shame about it, babe. And it's okay to joke about it a little bit, but I'm not proud of that.
Yeah.
And I see it now for what it is and the trauma that it stems from. But
I just want to give you a hug now.
but yeah, it was definitely like that. And then when I mean, do you think it was just when we said I do on our anniversary?
Nope. Maybe. I don't know. Let me think.
Because there was a point where we started to look.
There was. I'm trying to. I think it might have been actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm surprised we got married. Like, I'm grateful we did, but I'm surprised we got married.
What do you mean by that?
Well, first of all, neither of us wanted to get married.
Well, we wanted to be together.
Yeah, we
just
wanted to
didn't
be
wanna-
together. We were like, I really like you. I'm in this with you.
Yeah, we just didn't want to tie the knot.
I'm never going to be. Like, yeah, it was that.
Do you know what shifted for me?
What shifted for you?
Because I got to a point in our relationship where, because I proposed to Steph in this beautiful way.
The way you just said that. I'm like, because I proposed, like I did it. I did the thing. Got a little defensive the way you said that. Didn't sound very loving.
First off,
my tender heart needed that to be a little loving.
hold my hand.
Yeah.
I'm not angry at all. I hope you realize I'm not in any sort of like anger place. I'm a little nervous,
Okay.
only because
I'm
you and I have
nervous
been
too.
doing so much work this weekend.
We don't have our cards up here with us. What if we need
Right,
our
our rules of
conflict
engagement.
resolution?
Yeah.
Yeah, our compassionate rules of engagement.
Yeah. But I'm not upset or angry or
Okay.
anything like that. I think we're just kind of
I'm
emotionally
nervous.
taxed.
Yeah.
And we're talking about some emotional things.
Yeah.
But remember, we're on the same team here. Okay.
High five. Okay.
I
What
remember
shifted for you?
the mental shift in my brain of like, I'm going to be with this woman forever. And like, it wasn't, because part of why I didn't want to get married again, and it had nothing to, I mean, like, not just after I got divorced, I was like, I'm never doing that again. Divorce was so shitty. It was so hard. So it wasn't necessarily like I didn't want to get married again. It's like I didn't want to ever get divorced.
Now that is the way to put it right there.
Right.
I didn't, but not only did I not want to get divorced, I didn't want to not be able to get a divorce.
Right.
I didn't want to be
Not have
like
to, yeah.
trapped again. And I don't mean like commitment is a trap. Marriage is a trap. I mean, it was a really unhealthy dynamic. It was very hard. So
your first marriage was a lot different.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was terrified.
Yeah.
Terrified.
And see, I was terrified of getting divorced because of how it seemed like it just destroyed everything, not just in my life, but my kids, you know, my ex-wife. It was just such a terrible thing. And I blamed myself so much for it that my solution to not having to go through that again, what's up?
I just heard like, it sounded like Asher was running up the stairs.
Oh, I don't
I don't
think so.
hear now. It just sounded like dun, 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 dun.
That's just the people. just our cosmic portal upstairs.
Okay.
And I didn't want to go through a divorce again because I didn't want to hurt the people that I loved.
Yeah.
But I realized at some point in our relationship that if we separated or if we broke up or if our relationship ended, it would be just as hard as a divorce. And I was like, I'm going to be with this woman forever. And God forbid something did happen, it was going to be just as hard and painful. And the truth of the matter is, I really love being married to you. Like the truth of the matter is, it's like I really wanted to marry you. I wanted the bond, even though it is societal programming, right? I don't think you have to be married.
You don't.
But at the same time, what we have is so special to me that I wanted it. I just tapped.
No, that wasn't it. I'm hearing stuff out. Well,
Do
I
you
don't
wanna
know.
go check?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Keep talking.
So that's why it was like, oh, we're going to be together forever. And even if we break up, it's going to be a nightmare. And it's going to be so incredibly challenging and hard. Let's get married.
I'm trying to hear the sweetness. I'm like the part where you're like, oh, I want to be with this woman forever. Like it's so sweet. But what my brain is also hearing is it's going to suck either way. So might as well marry her. That's what it kind of sounds like. And I'm like, would you elaborate? Yeah.
The fear that I had was basically our love overpowered the fear.
Okay.
So the love that we had and the bond that we had and the relationship that we had, because I mean, by the time we got married, we were living together. We had completely enmeshed we were
Before
together.
we even got engaged, we bought a house together.
We were raising all of our kids together.
Yeah.
Everything was.
We were cohabitating.
Yeah.
Habitating. What the fuck? We were something. Oh no.
Oh my God, I can't wait to make that a reel.
Oh God. I'm embarrassed.
Okay. So we were cohabitating.
I'm still
Habitat
not
for
back
Humanity.
Jeez. I was doing my best there. That was wow. Okay.
But I think I was just so afraid. And then eventually that fear dissipated and faded enough because of how much love we had.
Yeah.
And so then I felt safe enough to really do what I wanted to do, which was get married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I remember making the decision and I got so excited. Like as soon as I knew that I was going to propose to you, I got so excited.
Really?
Yeah. I was so jazzed. I was so excited to like go find your ring. I was so excited to figure out how I was going to do it. Like the whole way that I proposed to you, I was so jazzed and excited for.
It was a good proposal.
Yeah. I mean, it was like, I knew that I was just really, really excited. And I loved our wedding.
Yeah.
I love being married to you. I just absolutely love it. It's so amazing. All of it. But it's because it's us, right? It's because we've had this beautiful relationship our whole life. And now we just get to continue in it. Is there anything you want to say about that?
I thank you for sharing.
What shifted for you when it came to not being afraid of divorce anymore?
Well,
that day hasn't come yet.
Hold on. Because remember, mine was more being like in a situation that couldn't get out of, and like, breathe. I don't know what shifted for me, other than I just know it shifted. Like it went from never, and also like having, like that was my way of trying to keep a hold on my heart the best I could too, because I wasn't gonna let myself love that big either. It was like, but it was happening, and it just happened, and I went from, like, because even just like we've talked about it before, how hard it was for me to move in, to buy this house together, to get to that place. Like I wasn't like, let's do it. I was like, like I was afraid. I was so afraid. It wasn't because of you. It's because of my past. I was so afraid. Because of you is why we're here. because it took. No one else could have. No one else. Only you. Only you. So cue that song right now. But I just started seeing it, and I just like could feel it. So now I can look at it and be like, oh, I was tapping in. I was feeling where we already were.
Right.
But at the time I didn't know. At the time it was just like, and then it got to where I quit being like, no, no, no. And it was like, I realized I wanted this. And then that was hard because it was like, I want this and you don't. And so it was that conflict right there of, trying to navigate that. And
did you have that feeling before, like that you wanted it and I didn't?
Yes.
Like at what point do you feel like that happened? Were we living together in this house?
Oh yeah, we were definitely living together it wasn't before the house. It was not. I love you so much, but we had stages.
Well, we moved in 2014 and then we got married in 2015.
Yeah.
So there was
we
about
moved in. No, it was a year because we moved in. It was like January
2014.
2014. You proposed December of 2014.
Yeah.
So it was almost a whole year. And then we got married April 2015.
So it was somewhere in 2014 that you shifted?
Yeah. I think so. Were you sooner?
I wonder if it was at the same time.
Maybe.
Because of how synced you and I are.
It could have been.
For me, I feel like it was in
Maybe
the fall.
the shift was when like you made the decision and then I saw it or vice versa.
Right?
I saw it and you were like, ooh, I don't know. Anyways, it happened. It shifted.
How funny is that?
But then
we've never had this conversation.
We haven't.
But then go ahead.
Well, and then after like when you proposed and it was this most beautiful thing and I was so happy and I was expecting this long engagement to really like ease into it. And then it was like, we're getting married fast. And so that scared me.
Yeah.
And so I had a hard time.
4 months after the proposal.
Yeah. It was like right away, we're going to pick a date. We're going to do it. Was like, we just like the ring just barely went on. Like, let's hold up. Like, we don't need to go. I was so scared. You wanted to go so fast. And I was at that point, I was like, oh, fuck. I need this to be slow. So I feel bad that I wasn't as involved in our wedding.
But we know we got married at the exact moment that we needed to.
We did. I know, like, we
not
did.
Just
so
needed
you felt
to, but
that.
was supposed to.
I see that. I'm grateful. This is no regret. I am so grateful. All of it. And I was like, my only regret, as I was just saying, is I feel like I wasn't as involved in it as I would have liked to have been because I was so scared.
Yeah, I did most of our wedding planning.
You did. And you did such a wonderful job. You did so great. And I was just like, it was just so fast. It was just so fast. And I was so scared. My poor trauma heart was just like, oh my God. I was so scared. I wanted it. But, I thought again, it was like, we were together for a while before we moved in. And then, we lived together for a year before we got engaged. And I was just kind of thinking like we had a pace. We had set a pace. And then all of a sudden this pace changed. And then our whole life. So probably, oh my goodness. Yeah, I guess that's when we stopped doing everything the same, was when we said, and I still took it. It was an adjustment for me. It was a big adjustment. I'm so grateful. And I'm sorry that it was so hard for me because it was not about not loving you. I loved you so much.
Yeah.
I loved you so fast. So fast. That was not a slow. You didn't know about it fast, but oh my gosh. I loved you so fast, which also scared the shit out of me. So it's a good thing we could take our time.
Yeah.
Because fast would have. I'm like the fainting goats, boo,
This plays in perfectly to the, we have a listener question. So every now and then we'll throw it up on Instagram, and obviously at any given point. Are you good going into this now?
I think so.
Okay.
I'll give it a shot.
But at any given point, if you want us to answer some of your questions, maybe there's something that you're just curious about, or you heard on the podcast and you want us to talk about more, or if there's something that you want kind of our take on, you can send us questions anytime. You can message us on social media or go to the website and shoot us a message. But this question comes from Christine. Christine actually won our March backdrop. So shout out to Christine. And you guys can go follow her at Tranquil Healing It's tranquil.healing.twila. Anyways, the question is, what is one way you have learned to embrace big change? Which is kind of what we're talking about.
Right.
Do you have your answer off the top of your head, babe?
Okay. Well, we just described our kicking and screaming method, which is sometimes the method. It kind of depends on what big change you're talking about. I feel like there's different types of big change. There's big change that you do not choose, that I don't want to say happens to you, because things but that happens in your life and you don't have a say in. It's like, boom, this is happening. This is a change. And then there's big change that you are choosing, that you are moving towards, and you're going to take this step and you're going to take this next, you are the one that's going to make the change.
Yeah.
So there's two kind of.
We both had experience with both.
Yeah.
That's good designation.
Yeah.
What do you do for the ones that happen outside of your control that surprise you, blindside you?
There is a lot of grief. There's a lot of grief. I used to just head down, push through anything, distractions, coping mechanisms, all the unhealthy ways is how
We used to do
I
things.
used to do it. We used to do it. And now there was one that came up not too long ago. And oh my goodness, it was really, really hard. It was really hard. And so I just let the emotions take me. And that was my healthy thing for myself. So I let the emotions take me. I cried and cried, and I didn't try to not, and I reached out for help. I knew that if I sucked it up and pushed it down, it was going to eat me alive. I didn't know that before, and I would take things and I would just just pack it down. Whatever coping mechanisms, pain reliever on top of it, I would do. But this one, I was I need to feel this. I need to feel it. I need to let it have its moment. I need to let these emotions be felt. And it was scary. I definitely had moments where I'm this is going to kill me. That's how much it hurts. And it's so scary to sit in emotion when you're this emotion's going to kill me. And it's not being over dramatic. It's you are afraid that it's going to kill you, that you're not going to come out. And so choosing to allow those emotions to be felt so they don't fester, and then reaching out for help because you need help in those moments. So that's how I go through it now. I let it be messy. I let it I don't try and get through it without the world seeing it and without anybody around seeing it, which is I don't put on the mask and everything's fine. It's everything is not fine. Everything is not fine. I'm not okay. I need help and I'm hurting. So I just allow it so it can be felt and it can start to heal and it can transform and go through the motions instead of eating you alive.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. How about you?
As you were talking, the thing that stood out to me, there was a lot that stood out to me.
Okay.
I'm curious what specific thing you're talking about, but obviously we don't need to get into that on the podcast,
that doesn't need
right?
to be shared.
Hopefully you'll share it with me, or I'm aware of it. Maybe I'm not. Am I?
Continue.
Gosh dang it.
Curiosity is just going to have to be all
Gotta
right.
make a mental note on this one.
That's not a mental note. That's a note.
That's a star.
That's a
I
notepad.
put a star there. Talk about talky stuff.
Talk about talky stuff.
Anyways, I like the designation of those two things, right? The one that blindsides you, the life-changing event or something like that comes out of nowhere, and then the one that you consciously step into, and the decision that you consciously make in order to change your life. And both, I think, the biggest factor and the way to get through them, healthily, or get through them in a healthy way, or get through them the best that you can, right? It's all relative because they're always messy.
Yeah.
They're always messy. And the thing that's going to help the most is help and support, like really having a support system in place. And the ones that blindside you, sometimes you might not, I mean, truthfully, moving through life, you need help.
Yeah.
And so that would be like the biggest component.
Already
I
have
think,
help system in place.
already, right? And
So,
like
yeah.
if you
So you don't have to try and go find one.
Exactly.
Yeah. I
You're not
had
gonna-
one in place.
Right? But we've had time periods in our life where we didn't.
We did not. I have. Yeah, absolutely had.
So it's like if you want to take a step right now in your life to do something really, really beneficial for you, it's start finding and cultivating and building a healthy support system. And that doesn't have to be 15 different people.
Yeah.
That can be one person. But it can be 3 people. It looks different for everybody.
Yeah. You're looking for healthy support too, not
Yes.
just somebody that will stand there while you let all this out. We're not talking that like you watch. Just because somebody will listen doesn't mean that's the person that should be listening and helping you through. So you got to really watch that healthy support. A lot of times the people that are willing to listen are not
there for your best interest.
exactly. So healthy support,
Is
and you can
massive.
find that so much easier before you were in those transition
trying
periods.
to find it in the midst of the chaos oftentimes is too challenging and too hard, and you end up hurting and suffering more. Like I can think about when I was fired, right, from law enforcement.
Yeah.
I didn't have it. Well, the support system that I had in some way, shape, or form went away with that firing. And then I was basically left with you as my support system. And that doesn't,
Keep going.
yeah, that's not
Keep
to
going.
minimize you, baby. You're an amazing woman.
Yeah.
But you also were affected by that life change, right? And so that one was sloppy and messy. And we didn't do a good job. I didn't do a good job. This year, I feel like you and I made a decision at the end of 2021. Actually, we made a decision at the beginning of 2021 to start therapy and get therapists. That was a big change. That was a big life decision. That was us starting to cultivate a healthy support system. And then towards the end of 2021 and basically going into 2022, we were deciding to make a big life change. And little did we know that as soon as 2022 started, we would get blindsided by some things.
Yeah.
But because we had already had like the decision made, it's almost like we knew that we were going towards a big life change. And so I think if you can consciously step into the space of, boy, I don't know what's coming, but it doesn't really matter. I'm going to do it because this is so important to me, right? This is really the thing that I want to do. The support system's going to help. But just that thing inside of you that makes that decision, I think is also super important. And it's not to say we weren't scared or kind of like nervous or on the fence or question that knowingness inside, right? All of those things happened, but yet there was still something that was driving us inside, and the decision to change kind of everything in our life. And another thing, I mean, every decision is different and every situation is different and every person is different. But I think if you can let go of the how in regards to those changes sometimes, the easier it is. Because when we stay stuck in the structure of what we think that change is or what that change needs to look like, sometimes we run into resistance and we run into some tension and some difficulty because it's not looking the way that we thought it was going to look, or it's not going the way that we thought it was going to go. And so that's the reminder of stay committed to the decision inside and know that you're heading in the right direction and have the faith and the trust, whether it's in yourself or in some higher power like the universe. But then also let go of how it actually happens.
Yeah.
And hold on to the feeling of I'm making a change in my life for this reason. And how I get to that, to the other side, right? I have to cross this ocean, and how I get to the other side, that journey and that experience might look different than I think. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it looking different than I thought it was going to look. But I'm going because I need the change inside. My life needs to change.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think?
I think I agree with that a lot. Like just the fact I talked about it on the live I did on how change just itself, change is scary.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many people that really struggle with embracing change. You know, some people don't. Some people are like, change, you know, they can go. But the majority of us, like, change isn't always something that they've cultivated a healthy relationship. It is fear. People get the mindset of lack with change, and realizing that, like, adjusting your like your mindset around that is where you're going to have a lot of improvement. So when you're talking about this change, this big transformation, this thing that's coming, and you're thinking about that, what does that feel like when you're heading here? When you're going to this new thing, do you have this light feeling? What does that feel like? When you're stuck in the what ifs, or how am I going to do that? What does that feel like? A lot of times when we're excited about momentum, like, that's the feeling, that's what we're moving towards. And then when we start thinking, oh, but this, getting out of the comfort zone, it's almost like that, there's that, like, the comfort in the chaos of when you're
the calm in the storm.
Calm in the storm. So when you're like, when you see the past and where you're at, what you're trying to find the strength to step out of, and you're like having resistance to that, is because that is known. That is a known thing. So what you're stepping into, the big change, the big transformation that you're going to be making in your life that seems so scary, just because you don't know what the story is.
Yeah.
You haven't read those pages of the book. You know what's happening back here, regardless of whether you like it or not. I mean, if you were really, really happy there, you're not going to be changing it. So regardless of how you're feeling, that's known. So there's still comfort there because it's not a mystery, opposed to all the unknowns that you could be walking into. So adjusting your mindset with change, just change doesn't mean bad. Change doesn't mean lack. Can it?
Growth.
Can it? Can it mean that something is like being taken away? Yeah, it can. And it does. There is those things, but what is on the other side of that? Like, you cannot change without growing, even if it's something that's being pulled away. Growth always comes. Growth always comes. If you sit with it and you keep going, the growth is there. And the growth happens whether you choose to grow or not. Like, if you're still here, if you're here and you're listening to the podcast and you're in this world, you've went through so much change and you've grown.
Yeah.
You have grown and you are here. So just that mindset. There's a story
Of a lovely lady.
No, I'm trying to think if it's applicable or not, if I should share it or not.
I think if it came to you.
Okay. I just heard it recently. Okay, so there's a story. I only heard it recently, and I didn't know so it's going to be Steph's version of retelling a story, which isn't always great.
Don't minimize yourself.
Don't minimize
You're
myself.
amazing.
Okay. So I can't tell you where it came from. I don't know any of the people's names. But the theory is that there was a man who had done something, and he was going to be punished for it. He was going to die, and he was going to be put to death. And he had options. He got to choose how he was going to die. And he got to choose to be hung, or he could choose what was on, like, behind door number 1, what was on the other side of the door. And he contemplated, and, like, he knows he's going to be put to death for this thing. He's going to die. And what one is he going to choose? And after, like, really sitting with it and trying to come to peace which death he was going to choose, he chose hanging. And when it was, like, coming about, he's getting ready, he's going to hang, he asked, I don't know if they told him or he asked, since, we're here, what was the other one? you know, because he had all these visions of being torn apart or being burned or just however. So then he just needed to know. So even though he didn't choose it, he needed to know what the other one was, because he chose what he knew was the hanging. And then they opened the door and it was freedom. But being hung wasn't the mystery. That was what was known. He knew what to expect, and that felt safer than the unknown. So just like that mindset of change and what can come with that.
Yeah.
So
It's scary.
it's scary. It's hard.
I kept hearing, like, and I think you said it at one point, but it's like change comes at a cost, right? Growth comes at a cost.
Growth comes at,
But
yeah.
that phrase, change comes at a cost, or
I didn't,
I think that is, it's not like
not like a cost. Is that how I said it?
it's not how you said it. It's how I heard it.
Okay. It
and-
might be how I said it.
But it's also that's a thing, right?
Yeah.
Like it comes at there's a price to pay.
Yeah. Okay. So you're
Right?
saying like,
If you
no,
wanna-
no good deed goes unpunished. No
Right?
reward comes without. So
But that's like the, like that's the truth of it.
yeah.
And it's just been flipped over time, because the price and the cost that you pay for growth and for change really is like pennies on the dollar to what you're going to get for it.
Most of the time it's just your own comfort,
Yeah.
temporarily.
It's a temporary price to face a fear, and the exchange is freedom.
Yeah.
Exchange is everything that you had ever wanted, right? And that's the big, scary, unknown thing. And for us, like literally right now, we're in the midst of this. 2022 started, and we decided to change up the podcast. Not just with 2 episodes a week, but it's a real shift and change on how we're approaching the podcast, as well as what the podcast is really all about for us. And then there's all of this change as well that's coming in our lives in regards to where we're going with the podcast and how it's expanding and growing, and how we've started to work with people, and we're going to continue to grow and start having different things that we're going to begin offering the world. And that's very scary. But we have a support system. We have help. We have help that's even, you and I are like our greatest support systems.
Yeah.
You and I
We're a
are,
good team.
we are the team.
Yeah.
Right? But we have other people helping us, and that's massively important. And we have that knowingness because we have gone through so much change, right? Enough time has happened over the course of our relationship, and we have evolved and changed from when you and I first met. We were looking at some old photos the other day of our first date, which was 10 years ago, right? 2012.
Yeah.
And we're babies. Like we look so naive and so
It was
innocent.
10 years. That's crazy. That's a
Right?
decade ago.
Yeah. And it's like these 2 sweethearted little kids that had no clue what was coming their way. We're just on this date, and we had a really cute first date. And I went shopping, and had Steph come shopping with me to get a pair of jeans and a t-shirt at Old
We were
Navy.
flipped in so many ways. I'm just like having awareness of that real masculine, feminine flip.
Right.
Like you were wanting to shop and get clothes, and I was like, cool.
Right.
And
It's a fun date.
No, I was loving it though. You were so cute. I loved like watching you come out. And then you were like, you ate the salad, and I ate the big old bacon cheeseburger. And it was just like, I'm like,
Yeah. We were
that's
very
interesting. I didn't really,
it was very
until this
interesting
moment, did I see it like, wow, those were some.
how much we were in the unhealthy versions of the opposite energies, right?
I don't know if it was unhealthy. Was
Don't
it?
you remember we learned that dynamic of I was embodying, the unhealthy version of the feminine? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but was that the unhealthy part? I mean, there's definitely unhealthy parts. Like there's the toxicity on both parts. But I was just, I don't know that so much was the unhealthy
That
parts,
wasn't. The
as
date
much as
wasn't.
we were just like, that's how, like I showed up trying to be feminine and being masculine, and you showed up trying to be masculine and your feminine was leading.
I think I probably was trying to impress you, thinking that I would be, this,
Oh, look, I like to shop because all girls like to shop.
who knows?
Was that what it is?
We were naive.
And then you find out that I don't really like to shop.
And then you're like, yeah, I don't really care.
No,
We
you're
go to the
so
DI.
cute. Yeah, I love the DI. The DI is like...
The DI is like the Goodwill store. The Goodwill shop.
Yeah.
Anyways, what the fuck were we talking about? Change is hard.
Yeah.
And now we have a support system.
Yeah.
And that inner knowingness that you're going towards something, even if you don't know what it is. So let go of how that journey looks. Let go of how you get there, and just hold on to that knowingness that you're going the right way, even if it doesn't seem like it. Even if it's like, this doesn't seem like the right way, go back inside and check. And if you still feel that certainty and that knowingness, you're going the right way. And get help. We cannot express that enough. It's so massively important. Nobody is supposed to go through life alone. Nobody is supposed to go through big life changes without help and support. Life is hard.
Yeah.
Like, it is painful, and it is suffering, and it is misery, and it is hard. And it's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
And it's amazing. And
Yeah.
it's full of love and joy. And we just need help to get through it.
If people get to see your joy, if people are like honored enough to be able to experience your joy, then they're honored enough to be able to experience your pain. Like, you don't always just have to show up with a happy face.
Yeah.
Like, show yourself to the, like, choose your people. Choose your people. I'm not saying just like go up to anybody and be vulnerable, but like, don't always be the happy, the strong. Oh, and also, like, the thing that's helping me, like, really, so I'm being a dork. I'm being like doing lives. I'm doing like stepping out of things. My break free moment is a phrase that just came that you keep giving to me.
Oh, yeah.
And it's what I need. It's what I need. It is the, like, we get stuck in, if we're going to do this, like, the only option is perfection. The only option is no mistakes, executed flawlessly. I'm pretty sure I just used the words executed for like that's the I can't even speak now. I'm like, that's how important it feels. Like, you have to nail it. You have to be the best. You have to succeed. You have to be perfect. You have to burp in the mic on a podcast. You just, like, that's your only option. If you do not 100% perfection, succeed, excel, achieve, then you're failing. And then it's not just like little failure, it's catastrophic. So when you're trying to make these changes, it feels like you have to either just like blow it out of the water, win it all, top of everything, however term resonates with you, on meaning that you have succeeded to your level of perfectionism, or it's utter failure. And that's where we get stuck in that transformation. And so just remember, you do not have to be perfect. You just have to show up. Just show up. Show up.
Let the
Just
universe
show
do the
up.
rest.
Yes. Stand there, show up. You're going to figure it out. It's going to be figured out. It's going to sort itself out. Believe, show up. Show up. Just show up.
Show up to your life. It's worth it. Should we wrap? And you got anything else?
That's it.
Cool. Thank you for the question, Christine. And once again, if you guys ever have any questions, hit us up. We're happy to answer them on the podcast. If there's ever anything you want us to talk about, or some episode from maybe 178, whatever episode 178 was, and you got a dying, burning question, just shoot us a message and we'll talk about it on the podcast on next episode. In the meantime, go enjoy your evening or day or morning, afternoon. Just enjoy your life.
Show up.